The reason I went in law enforcement, I watched my father. He was a law enforcement officer. He worked for the Bibb County Sheriff's Office, so it just intrigued me, and it's something that I always wanted to do. My role at the Sheriff's Office now, I'm a lieutenant, and I work at the crime lab. I manage the day-to-day operations, go to crime scenes, work with a lot of different people, and just try to maintain a good environment for the Sheriff's Office. When I graduated high school, I didn't really have an opportunity to go to college. And through the years, I always felt like that was an area of my life that it was deficient. I really wanted to do that. Working a full-time job, having a family makes it very difficult. So in 2011, I decided I would enroll at Middle Georgia State University. And my major is forensic psychology. I felt like psychology may help broaden my horizons a little more than just a criminal justice degree. I want to continue my education. I'd like to get a master's degree, and I'd like to teach. That's my goal, to teach at a university level somewhere. So I'm going to continue my education and just see where that takes me. With doing a job like this, you know, the people behind the scenes are the ones that don't get the thanks. And like with my family, they have really sacrificed with the fact that I've had to stay up late, write papers, you know, all the stuff that I've had to do, and I really appreciate the support they gave me as well. When people start talking about going to school and stuff, I let them know about the Shield Club, and I try to get them plugged in and educate them on the things that I didn't know about. So I'm really trying to help other people do the same thing that I'm doing. With the Shield Club and the scholarship, it just helps me financially to relieve the burden of what college would cost if I didn't have something like that. I've really enjoyed partnering with the Shield Club, and I've tried to do my best throughout my college career to make them proud.
My career path, I really always just had a genuine interest in helping people, helping the community. So I chose to go into law enforcement. As a patrolman, you drive 100 miles per hour, blue lights flashing, sirens going, and you go in there 100 miles per hour, your adrenaline's pumping, and you go there to stop the threat. Well, coming from patrol to a crime scene tech, I no longer responding blue lights and sirens, and now I'm driving slower, and once I enter the actual crime scene, I'm slowing down even more. Once I get on the crime scene, I really do have to pay attention to the small, intricate details. As a crime scene tech, we're often on call late at night. It was one particular night I received a phone call from Sergeant Patel. He requested the crime lab to come out and process a crime scene that had happened at the CVS on Gray Highway. 3 assailants came in with guns. I took pictures of the crime scene. I observed different evidence. I processed the crime scene for latent fingerprints. Fortunately, we was able to get some very good fingerprints at that crime scene. No one knows those guys. They were from out of state. They were from Indiana, I believe. But had it not been for latent fingerprints, we would have never solved this crime. With the perpetrators in that crime scene not being local, that's where it can get very interesting when it comes to forensic. You have to get some very good quality prints. That quality of prints would allow us to put those fingerprints into the AFIS system. That's the Automated Fingerprint Identification System. That system is a national system. Once I put those fingerprints that was developed from the crime scene in the AFIS, it came back with a hit. Jimmy Culver loves fingerprints. And when I get hits, you can hear me yelling up and down the hallway every day, I got a hit, I got a hit. The guys, they love it, and it keeps everyone at the office enthusiastic about searching for latent fingerprints. I truly do believe that is one of my callings at the Sheriff's Office. I think the Shield Club has been a nurturing community leader. From the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for recognizing law enforcement and the things that we do, recognizing the sacrifices that we make in our daily lives. Thank you for having our back, and I'm honored to be a nominee for Officer of the Year.
I wanted to become an investigator from day one. I knew that it's what I wanted to do. I was lucky. I did a short 1 year in the jail, came out to the road. I started with the SWAT team in January 2008. Making the transition over to being an investigator, I still get my adrenaline fix with the SWAT team. We ended up having a lot of cases where different deputies were going out for a lot of vandalism that was happening to different vehicles, to different apartment complexes. And specifically, we got one case where some kids got some paintball shot at them. Luckily, nowadays, a lot of people put everything on Facebook and social media, so it's a huge resource for us. I was able to do a lot of research on those. Once I got one suspect, I was able to find a video that he posted, found additional people who liked that and who made comments on it. I started researching their Facebook pages, We found out that all of them were related, all of them were there, and we ended up getting a total of 9 suspects. We ended up finding 3 of those suspects with felony warrants for gun possessions and for gang crimes as well. So it was a good call. Print Sheet Metal is one of our bigger companies on the south side of our town. We ended up getting a case where some people were breaking into the back of their property and kept stealing sheet metal. And this was happening over a long time, that they were stealing scrap metal. So they couldn't figure out why it was happening or how it was happening. We ended up being able to track through some of our scrap metal purchasers, some of our places that buy scrap metal, our recyclers. Somebody was coming in with similar type of sheet metal, one specific design that Print Sheet Metal does. And we were able to bring that back to them and prove it. And we were able to get him, which led to another suspect that had actually assisted in it. I'm a thorough person. I do try to make sure that when I get a case from A to B, all the way to Z, that I follow up every lead that I can. I had some good instructors over the years that have always showed me the proper ways to do things. If there's a rule, I'm gonna follow it. Anytime that we can have somebody, a group such as the Shield Club, who are willing to acknowledge the fact that there are some law enforcement officers who really enjoy what they do, really show the values of law enforcement and the morals that we represent, and are willing to acknowledge us for it, we're really thankful.
As a child coming up, I've always either wanted to work on the streets as a police officer, or I wanted to either practice law. I spent a little time at Mercer University studying. So it was just something I always had a passion for. I remember I had gotten a call for a park at Northside. So I'm traveling down Pierce Avenue, and there's a retired deputy. He pointed towards the Circle K and he was like, "Hey, there is a individual in the store with a tank top and a gun." I pulled into the Shell gas station, and sure enough, there was the suspect brandishing a firearm, pointing it at an individual in front of the store. So he looks at me and he turns around and he goes around the corner. I immediately identified myself as a Bibb County Sheriff's deputy. And he turned around and he raised his firearm at me. I proceeded to get in the cover and he fired 2 shots at me. Of course, I returned fire. I could see the suspect, he was running towards Pierce Avenue. So I pursued him and I attempted to tase the individual, but unfortunately, it did not connect. And he pretty much made it clear to me that he wasn't going to jail. It was going to be either him or myself. As I got up the hill to Pierce Avenue, there was a vehicle approaching, and he raised his weapon towards that vehicle. I engaged him. Backup was coming. They also engaged. We had to suppress the situation, which we did. Kicked the gun out of his hand. He was still breathing. Tried to give him as much medical attention as we could, as far as his wounds that he had succumbed to later on. You get into these situations that can be dangerous, and just like that, it doesn't matter what you're responding to. It's very important to have some type of support. So I am very grateful for the Shield Club for backing the blue, if you will. We appreciate it. I definitely do.
We got a call for a working structure fire. I was driving engine 3 that day, and Sergeant Finney was in charge, and Private Dumas and Private Patterson were on the back. When we turned the corner, I saw a lady holding the door open and thick black smoke rolling out of the door, so we pulled around to the other side and realized we had a working fire. It was right across from the station, so Private Patterson and Private Dumas didn't have a whole lot of time to get dressed, so being the pump operator, I ran around and stretched the first line to the door for them while they finished getting dressed. Right before Private Patterson was about to crawl in to go to the fire, I happened to notice that the lady in the top right window was banging on the window trying to get out. So I reached in, I grabbed Private Patterson and pulled him back out. I ran to the truck and I got the 24-foot extension ladder and I brought it up to the window, and that's when Private Patterson went up to the window and started pulling people out with me.
When I climbed up the ladder, I started helping the first people out, and as I was coming down, we looked over to the left, and in the apartment, there's another set of people in there banging on the window trying to get out. But this thing about this apartment, it was a lot more smoke. It was fire in that apartment when we found out after we extinguished the fire. Clarence grabbed the ladder, we threw it on the other side. I went up, lifted the window up, and smoke just comes rolling out the apartment. I yell in, I'm like, hey, come on down, come climb down the ladder so we can get you out of here. And they say, hey, we can't walk. So I'm like, oh man, I gotta get some help to get these guys out of here. So I immediately climbed inside and grabbed them and put them up to the window so they could breathe. So as I'm holding them up there, a sergeant off of Engine 6, Sergeant Floyd, he came up and opened the door to the apartment and grabbed me, said, hey, this is where we're gonna come out at. So I grabbed the patients, we all proceeded down the steps, taking the patients out to Rescue 8. And that's when they initiated medical assessment.
First initiated medical assessment with the first 3 victims. And then when we proceeded on, we had Battalion 22 was already on scene, and he was still advising that there was victims still inside of the structure. So after we medically assessed the other victims, we had a heavier set lady who was breathing out of the window. She couldn't get down the ladder because she was, overwhelmed by the smoke and the lack of the ability to walk. So we had to proceed to do a 2-man carry down the stairs, and after she was medically assessed and EMS was already on scene, they took over patient care, and that's when me and Private Freeman went back inside to help extinguish the rest of the fire.
What made this cause so unique for us was the teamwork and the effort and how we took over the scene and took care of all the victims.
Everything worked perfectly, just like clockwork, and then there was not that I can think back on one mistake made throughout the whole thing where anything could have went any better. I mean, people go their whole career being a firefighter hoping that's what you want to do, is be able to save somebody, and to actually get to do that is pretty awesome.
There was multiple rooms. You had people downstairs, upstairs, so we really had to form as a whole unit and make sure we get all the victims out. That's what made it really unique to me. And we do it because it's our job and it's our passion. That's what we want to do. But to have the Shield Club come in and recognize us for doing an outstanding job, it really gives us a drive to keep going and becoming the best firefighter that we could be.